Well, today we're going to continue our look at David Regal. And I must admit, I'm a real big fan of David Regal. I like his magic. I think he's very clever. And one of the things that makes it so fun to watch the David Regal magic is that right? He really writes for TV. He really writes for sitcoms. And all of his tricks, they're not like, it's not like, okay, I'm going to do a trick. Watch, I put this here and this happens and haha, that's the trick. Like all of them have like a full fleshed out story. All of them have a full fleshed out presentation. And, you know, and he's not doing it for the sake of, I'm going to perform it and I need to have this and this and this, or it doesn't work. It's just, this is his process. It's the way he does magic. And I'm a fan. I mean, it's very, makes you think about your presentations and how can you just sort of push it a little bit further so you get more of you in pieces of magic. That's one of the things you definitely get when you're watching David. You definitely feel like you get to know David when you're watching him do the magic. I mean,
he's very good at keeping it real. You know what I mean? About keeping it like in the moment, real now, you know? And
you definitely feel like it's a special thing that's happening for you and you're involved in it with him, right?
At this moment. Yes, exactly right.
At this moment. Yeah. It's very cool. All right, well, let's just start this thing off. Let's
let's watch something.
Let's take a look at watch some magic and let's have some fun here. And let's get into this here. And this is a thing that David had. Well, it's a great card trick. I'll just leave it at that. Let's talk about it after.
I often don't attempt what I'm about to show you because there is a chance of failure. However, I promise if I do fail, I shall try and do so with dignity. Fair enough? They always say cut the cards. You've heard that expression. Absolutely. Always cut the cards. But if you think about it, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Because if you're playing with someone who's a card mechanic, who knows a deck of cards, and they see where you cut, that person could potentially undo what you did. All this is an attempt to cut a deck of cards, but at a precise spot, a specific location. John, you'll help me with this by taking a card out. Doesn't matter what you get, you're going to write your name on it. Take one, I'll give you a marker for this purpose, a marker not to be confused with a magic wand. Now write your name not on the back, on the front. Well, I talked to Jennifer. So Jennifer, married or single?
I am single.
Single, me too. Oh, I see you noticed my friendship ring. Just a friendship ring given to me by my wife. My job now is to cut off exactly half the cards. Let's see if I can. No, I think I missed. I got about 25
Is it moving for you, buddy?
cards, but I'm going to continue because I told you I would. In about 10 seconds, I will take a card and cut the deck.
Did it freeze for you on your end?
Yeah, what about Sproul says no, it's not moving?
This happened before.
Frozen. Yeah, it says it's frozen.
Well, let's see what we can do here. Can you share from your end, do you think?
Yeah, you want to give me the list of bids?
Yeah, let me see if we can do that. Because I for some reason it's not playing from my end. That's why we did that little test before we started, but apparently the YouTube aren't liking what I'm doing today. So let me do this. Let me send the thing over.
It's the YouTube gods are
the YouTube gods. They're not happy. They're screaming from the mountaintop. You will not share this video. Okay, let's see if you can do that. So it was Pasteboard Massacre is the one we were just looking at there. See if you can play it on your end. See if you can share and see what that does. Maybe we'll get
okay, I'm getting there. We were doing Pasteboard Massacre. Oh. Aha. All right, working on it.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. I'm sorry for the little hiccup here.
Yeah. We're not doing too good today.
I often don't.
Okay, it's fine. See. It's fine. We just gotta get the right thing to share that video.
Let's see now. All right, let's see if this works now. Share sound. All right, I'm gonna share it.
Great.
What do you got?
I see it. I think we're in.
You?
I think this is gonna work. Yeah, totally.
What I'm about to show you because there is a chance of failure.
What do you got?
Great.
However, I promise if I do fail, I shall try and do so with dignity. Fair enough? They always say cut the cards. You've heard that expression.
Absolutely.
Always cut the cards. But if you think about it, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Because if you're playing with someone who's a card mechanic, who knows a deck of cards, and they see where you cut, that person could potentially undo what you did. All this is an attempt to cut a deck of cards, but at a precise spot, a specific location. John, you'll
no, it froze. There it goes.
Doesn't matter what you get, you're going to write your name on it. Take one, I'll give you a marker for this purpose, a marker not to be confused with a magic wand.
2 points if you know the
Now,
guy's
write your name
name.
not on the back, on the front. On the front? Well, I talked to Jennifer. Jennifer, married or single?
I am single.
Single, me too.
Well,
Oh, I see you noticed my friendship ring.
There it is, Lou. Nice work.
Ring given me by my wife. My job now is to cut off exactly half the cards. Let's see if I get, no, I think I missed. I got about 25 cards, but I'm going to continue because I told you I would. In about 10 seconds, I will take a card and cut the deck, attempting to cut the deck directly next to this card here. Not two above, not two below. We square the deck all around, cutting the cards. There's something you don't see every day.
definitely not.
He cut the cards, dude.
I got the deck.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Literally.
Right down to one card. John, do you remember what your card was?
Six of hearts? Something of hearts.
6 of hearts?
I think.
Thank God for that.
Oh.
Thank you. Thank you.
Nice.
Oh, the things. Thank you. Very nice.
Amazing.
It's a good one.
Super clever.
It's very different.
Super clever.
Super clever.
Yeah.
And that's
Super-
one that they're going to remember, right? People see that. They're going to say, I saw this guy and he cut the cards. Like, cut him. Like he
Yeah,
saw
no
it
one's
into-
nobody's doing that trick.
You could do that trick with the CC deck. You'd be the only one doing it. You should do it, man. But if you're going to do it right and take those cards to a printer, a local printer, and have them chop them for you. So you get a nice clean cut, or get yourself a nice paper cutter. But if you go to a printer, whatever your local print shop, you can pay them to just do the cutting, and you'll get a super precise cut if you wanted to do such a thing. What a cool trick. What a memorable trick. I think it's awesome, man.
I mean, what's beautiful about it too is it's you know, without going too much into it, it's kind of a self-worker. You know?
It's kind of a self-worker. It's really about the presentation, right? It's
Yeah.
all about building it all up with all that gambling stuff, and then you sort of get this visual gag that turns into a real magical thing. I love it.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love it.
And it's very
It's not taking itself too serious.
yeah, and
You know
it's
what I mean?
very David Regal. It's
No
you know
doubt.
what I mean? It's very David Regal. And I love it.
Yeah.
You know, it's visual. It's not anything anyone's ever seen before.
Right.
And
And
look at
probably
this.
won't ever see again.
What a great moment to get your largest round of applause from not even the finish of the trick. You know?
Totally.
Now,
a good one,
obviously,
man.
that was Lake Tahoe, wasn't it? That was like an L&L.
Yeah. All
So
that's
it's not-
L&L.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I don't know. We'd have to gauge the
I remember
crowd's
seeing
reaction,
David-
you know, in a real environment. They got a huge response there.
I've seen him at the castle.
Yeah.
I haven't seen him anywhere else. I've only seen him at the castle and then in lectures, you know, at magic
Me too,
conventions
yeah.
and stuff.
Me too.
But I saw him working for Lehman at the castle a couple different times. One time I saw him, it was so memorable because he did something that I've never seen anybody do. I've heard people talk about it as an exercise, but David did it as a show. He worked behind the bar, the downstairs bar, the WC Fields bar, right? And he did all of the slum magic from the magic store, like all the plastic tricks, all the dye injection molded tricks. The whole set was all those tricks, but every single one of them had a killer presentation, and he just rang out every drop of magic could, and it was amazing. And all the laymen were watching and just going, what the hell is this? And freaking out. And he would say, this is a trick from the magic store. It was great, man. It was totally just a real fooler. Everything was a real fooler. And he was just having fun. He was just being David, and he's just playing with the audience. And, you know, that was just as much fun as any of the magic, you know?
You know what I like about him the most? And I saw him probably about, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago now in St. Louis. He came and lectured. And he's just the nicest guy. I mean, you could just walk right up to him. And inside of 2 minutes, you're deep into a magic conversation where he's teaching you something or whatever. He's just, you know,
Totally.
It's not like that with everybody.
He's a good human, man.
He's a good human.
He just genuinely wants to share his magic, and when he sees someone that's like a kindred spirit, he's like right there with them, and it's just like, hey, you love this thing too? This is awesome. And and he's prolific, right? I mean, you look at the amount of published material, the books, the DVDs, it's just all stuff, and he continually is putting stuff out, and it's all great.
Yeah.
Right. I don't often see something that he puts on the market that I go, meh, that's all right. Mostly I see it and I go, what a great idea. That totally elevates that to a higher level. I love that idea. If it's, you know, a twist on someone. But I love David. I think he's got great magic. Let's get into the next one.
Yeah, let's watch another one.
I do.
Let me get myself together here. Hold on.
See, it's not so easy, is it?
Oh no, we got this. Here it is. Let me know if we're live, and I think we are. Got it?
We're good.
Now, do you see the whole screen, or should I go full screen on this? Is that better for everybody?
But make sure that when it does that, you'll lose it when it's over. Make sure you press escape when the clip is over. Otherwise, you lose it. I lose it sometimes in the background, if that makes sense. But yeah, that's better.
Okay, we'll see what happens.
Different. I grew up in the Boston area. And in Boston, there's huge libraries, if you've ever been there, filled with huge books. And some of these big books are books on magic. Well, I used to go there at the age of 12, take the subway downtown, or as we called it, the trolley. And I'd take home these big books on magic. And one day, I took out one book that had the neatest thing I've ever seen. I want to show it to you. Now, all these books had a section called paraphernalia. Not what you're thinking, John.
Yeah, John.
We're all sick here. Lock the doors, Louis. Paraphernalia just means things you need to make the trick work. For this trick, you needed a glass. I had a glass. 12 years old, I had one of those. You needed coins. I went through my sock drawer. I had some coins. And one other thing you needed, a hole that can bend the fabric of space and time. Where to get one of those? The Sharper Image Catalog. We ordered it. I'll show it to you. It's the last place I looked for. Oh, the hole. Bends the fabric of space and time. It's a rush. When you look through this hole, what do you think? You're seeing me. But no, you're seeing the way I looked yesterday. Oh, look. 11 o'clock. Yes, 11 o'clock, next Yom Kippur, Jewish Day of Atonement. As impressive as this is. Some of you may want to see it bend space. And there we are. There's now something of a psychic hole in the middle of the table. Not large enough to let a lot happen, but we'll try something nevertheless. Can you see the coins in there? The 4 coins, 1, 2, 3, 4. Keep me honest on this side, Jennifer. 4 coins, 1, 2, 3, 4. They there? Of course. Touch. You can touch. Woo! She touched it. There's 4. There's the hole. Here's the coins. Wish me luck. Oop, now there's 3. 1, 2, 3. 1 has gone through. Make sure there's only 3 here and only 1 here. Just 1 and 3. 3 and 1. Gets harder as we go along. Here's the coin. Here's the glass. Oop, now there's 2 and 2. Another one's got through. Make sure there's only 2 there. Make sure there's only 2 here. 2 and 2. It's like the Certs commercial. Here we go. Oop, now it's 1 and 3. Last one's fun. Here's the glass. Here's the coin. Now listen. Just listen. I think we got it. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 coins. And a hole.
How brilliant. Right?
Those hands didn't come close at all. That was great. I love it. Clean crunch of the table, man.
How brilliant. Such a great presentation, you know.
Just having that other element, so it's not just about the trick, it's about something more fantastical. You're sort of bending reality, even though it's sort of tongue-in-cheek, but how else, right? It's great, man. I love that.
Yeah. God, so good. And like you said too, didn't even seem like, you know, the glass and the ring. I mean, it all just made sense. You know?
Yep, it's all justified in that story. Plus, it's all tongue in cheek, right? He's all sort of playing
Well,
it
that's
like, it's sort of a joke. But then stuff
Yeah.
starts happening. You go, wait a second, this isn't a joke. This guy's really doing this. What is happening here?
Exactly.
It's good.
Really, really good stuff.
Good.
Yeah. We got more.
We've got more. Let's check. This next one I think is a little bit more involved.
Called All's
but
Fair.
yeah, this one's really good. I really like this. It's got a nice little intro to it, but it's really the effect itself. You'll see that you've seen things similar to it, but it's just so clean. If you ever played with these sort of principles, you'll see that like David really just took it to the furthest place you can take it, and it's clean. I love it.
Let me ask you just a separate question.
Certainly.
This is L&L, right? And you were there, right? Were you part of it?
Not for these ones. I went to a bunch of them. I've been to a bunch of them. I usually call it out when I was at the shoot when they did it. But yeah, I went to a bunch of them. I was friendly with Lewis. I was really friendly with Louis Falanga because it happened because he was another magic dealer in my area, right?
Yeah.
Because he was in Tahoe, and it was actually sort of a weird coincidence. My first wife, her dad had a house on Lake Tahoe, and we would go stay there, in the summertime, when we could take vacation time, we would go stay at his house. And L&L Publishing had a P.O. box in Tahoma, which is where this house was, which is just a small town on Lake Tahoe, right? And I was like, wow, I wonder if he's close by. Like he was, it's like a little general store that's also a sandwich shop and like a bodega, but it's like a little mini grocery store, right? And they had the post office was part of this little shop, right? If you had a P.O. box, that address was the store, and that was the P.O. box address of L&L Publishing. And I was always like, wow, I wonder if he's by. Because I didn't know Tahoe that well. I would go and hang out there, and I would see people hanging out there. But eventually, I made a phone call. Hey, man, I live down in Sacramento. I'm coming up to Tahoe, and I'm right by the Tahoma market. He's like, oh, you're like 2 blocks from my house. I was like, well, I want to get like a couple books from you when I'm going to be up there in like a week. And, I'd like to just come up and get a couple. Yeah, come on over and we'll hang out. I went to his house. And and it was before he had the house that you see all these shoots were in, right? It was a different house. Yeah. And I ended up just like hanging out, and like Lewis had this amazing library. It was very inspirational to me because I had a handful of books, right? But he had all books, and he let me like go through this and look at his, and like L&L Publishing was him basically doing desktop publishing from his house he lived in. And, his garage is full of inventory. It's just full of all the L&L titles, He's like, all right, well, come out here, go into my warehouse. And we go in the garage, and they're just like, every book L&L had was there. I was like, oh my God, wow. Just drooling. I got my books, and, happened a few more times. I would just go up there, and eventually started doing the video shoots. And, hey man, you're a magic guy. I'm going to have this guy up. You should come and hang out. And I did. And Lewis had most amazing collections of autographs that I've ever seen. Like around the house, just framed, like had like Muhammad Ali, like right after the fight with like a notarized photos of the fight, the Thriller. He had autographs from astronauts with like paraphernalia from NASA, like things of that ilk. Lincoln signature, like things that you go, how do you even get something like that, And L&L Publishing was the answer, right? He created that business from the ground up, doing books, and then ended up doing all these videos. And Lewis did a great service to all of us. He brought in all the biggest names in magic that we know so that we could learn from those guys. I really loved magic in a way that we can only imagine, I think,
I was going to say that he did a tremendous service for the art of magic, because obviously he was trying to make videos and make a living. But what he actually did was he just captured all of these great, like, this is young David Regal. You know what I mean?
Totally.
This is the David Regal.
You're never going to get that back
today. Yeah, this is the one that
it was documented at the time and needed to be.
Yeah, this is the David Regal that made David Regal famous, right? I mean, this is, among magicians. Right. And he just, and the other thing is, every one of these guys showed up with their A game. Like, there's none of these videos that's just.
Well, I think all of them every single one of those guys, even when I was there and it was guys that I was respecting and I get to hang out with them when they're doing their shoot, they all knew the gravity. They
Yeah, they knew what they were
understood this
doing.
is an opportunity for me. Yeah, it's an opportunity for me to document my and like give back to Magic and get credit for the stuff I created and on down the line. But none of them didn't look at it like it was what it was, right? All of them understood the gravity of the situation and how important it was to be making these things. And, you know, it's the we're talking about it now. And I'm not going to lie. It's the reason I know as much Magic as I do, right? I had the opportunity to be around a lot of that stuff. And eventually a lot of these things started getting gifted to me just because I was friendly with these people and, you know, just really kind to me. And they saw that I was hungry for Magic and they were feeding basically the kid that they saw in me as themselves, right?
Right. You know, I don't even know how to put this into words. If you just go back 10 or 15 years prior to this, so much Magic is just lost to time. If it's not written in a book prior to that, it doesn't exist. And when somebody writes it in a book, it's not the same as when you see this. Like, books are fantastic. You know, they're great.
They're great
but when
technical
you see
manuals.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, when you see it, it's different because understanding someone's timing, their body language, how they actually communicated when they're doing those things, you can't capture the essence of that in writing, you know?
And you know, the thing of it
to
is
see things in motion.
It's really a turning point right here in Magic. This collection,
no doubt,
turning point, you know, and A1 too. What is
no
it?
doubt,
A1 Media,
no doubt. And A1 Multimedia that became A1 Magical Media, and that was one of the reasons I became really friendly with Lou, was because I worked for them. That was Mike Maxwell and Marky, which then they split off and Murphy became Murphy's Magic Supplies, right? So I'm friendly with those are the Northern California produced Magic, and I was sort of friendly enough with them. And I was sort of like, I was like a taste tester for them. You know what I mean? They could always rely on, well, let's ask Alex. He'll have an honest opinion about one of these things. And they could all like just make a phone call or just come into my office and ask me about something or show me something. And, you know, they would it was like a litmus test. They knew, you know, if it was going to play or not, kind of thing, you know? So it was a fortunate position for me to be in. And, it's the reason I love Magic as much as I do. I got to be close to the fire, and you know, I'm real warm because of
it. All right. Well, I've got one more here. All's Fair. I don't recall.
All's Fair, right? This is great. This is a fun. Well, we'll talk about it afterwards. I'm real good at spoiling things if I talk too much before.
I'm not real slick here. It's gonna take me a minute here.
And try this one instead of going full screen. Keep it at the regular size. I think it started to get weird with it being full screen.
Should I leave it just like this?
Just leave it just like that. I think that's probably going to be a better play for us.
Really hard, because you know when you have someone pick a card, you're always pushing one card sort of more towards them. Other magicians use those electromagnetic devices that shoot cards at you. That's just dangerous. So I decided I'd try and come up with a fair card trick, the fairest card trick known to man. So I had this trick, I was working on it. I showed it to my wife. We were eating dinner, and I do this trick. She thought it was so fair. She leaned over and gave me a little hug.
Oh.
The hug turned into a kiss. Before I knew it, plates, dishes, silverware were crashing to the ground. She was writhing on top of me in a wild, primitive animal heat. They won't let me back in that Pizza Hut. But it proves the power of a fair card trick. So let's try that right now. We're going to explore the power. You have to tell me if everything's fair. Fair enough? You take the cards, Tanya. You're going to also play a part in this, John. You're going to work together. The two of you are going to conspire to create a playing card. We'll do Tanya first, because ladies first, and then we'll come to you. Tanya, you will take the cards, and as I do, deal one to the table. You can do it right in front of you so you know there's no shenanigans. Very good. And whenever you feel the urge, Tanya, you stop dealing. Now did you want the next card or this card?
This one.
Push it over toward the center. Now, was that fair, Tanya?
That's fair.
It was not fair! fair.
It was fair.
But I say no.
Right.
It wasn't fair because you couldn't see the cards. I mean, now you can see them. You can see that they were different. But you couldn't see them before. So I say not fair
Not
enough.
fair.
John, you take your cards. Thank you for agreeing. Turn them face up. Same thing Tanya did, one at a time. Just deal them down to the table. When you want to stop dealing, John, that's when you stop. That's it. Oh, which one did you want?
I wanted the jack.
Put it up there. Now, was that fair?
That wasn't fair.
It was fair! You can see the cards! Look! You can see them! What must I do? I said the two of you would conspire to create a playing card. And you did. Yours will be the value, a jack. Yours will be the suit. Let's turn it over. It was a heart. Put them together. Jack of hearts. A 1 out of 52 combination. What's interesting is before we came here today, I put one card in my pocket with a different color back. And that card is the Jack of Hearts.
No way.
Now,
Amazing. That was good.
I know.
Yeah.
I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, maybe he has a whole deck in his pocket. And when he sees that 1 out of 52 combination, his fingers are so supple. He's so supple, he can reach in and pull out the one card necessary to bring the trick to a successful conclusion. Well, you'd be partly right. I do have an entire deck in my pocket. And apparently the dry cleaning tag. But you see, this deck doesn't help me much, because every card is the Jack of Hearts! Thank you. Wow! Yeah!
Wow.
That's one.
That's a great one, isn't it?
Yeah. That's as fair as it gets, and it's what
You can certainly
what?
see why the dishes would go flying on the table. It's just an amazing.
Yep, that's a good one. I think it's, just getting a card selected with people getting random elements. It's been done before, but this, I think it's elevated. He made it so clean. There's there's nothing to backtrack to. There's no threads. There's no little paths to backtrack to go, well, maybe he did this, or maybe there's nothing. You have no clues when it's over. All you have is they both picked cards, and all of a sudden it is prediction. What?
It's super
I love
visual too, I mean, the payoff at the end of all.
Yeah.
We tend to forget how powerful a deck of all the same card is to a layman. I mean, it's just
Totally.
like,
And as a revelation,
yeah, it's the most
right?
impossible
Because that
object.
closes off all the avenues of figuring it out, right? Having an object like that, it like short circuits your thinking system. Like, well, wait a second, how? I think it's a powerful device. You're right. People don't see it, and it just is like, what is that?
Yeah, it's the total
Sort of
mystery
stops you in your
thing.
tracks.
I mean, there's no way that a normal person thinks their way into you could just buy it. Right? They
Right.
think you put it together.
Right,
I mean,
exactly.
it becomes a really, in their minds, it becomes very twisted.
Right. I agree. It's an impossible object, really, right? It
Yeah.
shouldn't exist.
It should not exist.
Should not exist. So there's two more that we have here. The last one is real quick. It's a real quick trick. There's a little bit of presentation, but this next one, there's one more card trick. And this one is really baffling because it's like this other one where you're just left looking back on, but there was no moment dirty work could have happened. There was there's no space. I understand how we got to a place where that effect could happen. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it's really, really a strong, and he has a couple different versions of this trick throughout his career, throughout his written history. There's a handful of ways that he's attacked this problem. This one is really my favorite because it's inexplicable. You see it and you go, there's no way that could happen. You know what I mean?
All right, let's get into it. I want to see it now.
Awesome.
I think it's
Awesome.
this one.
Before you were just like, yeah, I'll watch it. Now you're like, no, see it.
Oh no. That's not true.
Joining the ever-present John, we have Natalie here to help me do nothing. For that's what I intend to do right now. Nothing at all. I've done a lot of tricks. Oh, so many tricks. Time for me to try to do absolutely nothing. Natalie, slide out a card for you. I want 3 people. Could you slide out a card too? And John, 1 for you. Now look at it, show it to the camera if that's what you're supposed to do. Oops, come back. Come back, little Sheba. You get your card? Remember it. Fair enough? Fair enough. And yours? You remember it? It's very important to remember. Got it. And yours? Ooh, don't forget it.
I won't forget it.
Good. I need to remember nothing. Give them complete cuts, one after another. Till I say stop. I have some friends that'll help me out. Oh, yes, here are my 4 friends. My 4 friends. Any idea what my 4 friends just might be? Oh, of course, the aces. Magicians always use aces. Why? Because it's the law. Oh, that's going to be tough. Stop. Okay. Okay, the job now is for the aces to help me continue to do nothing. They have to take a little peek. Oop, did you see that? A little look-see. They took a little look-see. Take another. Oop, another little look-see. One more. Oop, another little look-see. I'm trying so hard to do nothing. Am I doing all right so far?
You're doing great.
I do nothing like this.
Oh my God.
3 red cards between the aces. What was your card? And your card.
6 of hearts.
And your card.
Queen of Hearts.
Queen of hearts. 7 of hearts. 6 of hearts. It was nothing.
I'm finding the button. Hold on. There it is. Wow. Wow.
It's really cool, right?
Wow.
There's nothing to grab onto. And I mean, you think about it for a while, and if you put your magic mind to it, you can sort of get, you can get close, but yeah, man.
I mean, just this slick little...
Jeff, Gene, yeah, this is the trick series. This is the first one. The premise power participation. We might get into that. I haven't looked at them yet. I haven't looked at them for years. So basically I'm cutting these things and finding things that really make me go, ooh, that's a good one. Definitely shoot the gang, So it's, we'll see. Maybe there'll be some in there that we'll get into, but I try to make it so that we're looking at stuff that at least makes me feel tickled, so, so there it is. But yeah, the trick series is what this is.
Regal's one of those guys that you can just watch over and over and over. He's just fun to watch. He's fun to be around,
Agreed. And he runs the gamut, right? He runs the gamut from like super easy self-working all the way to knuckle busting. And it's really what it takes to make that effect happen. Even though when you see something like this, like he's constantly working on that plot, right? He's trying to find ways to make it less and less work and more straightforward and to the point. And, that's why he's always tinkering. I think he's always trying to make it clean as it can be. Yeah, exactly. Streamline as much as you can. But I think that's a really great example, because there's other versions of that, that collector's plot that you see him do that, he's giving up something in one place for something else, presentationally. But this one really, in my opinion, that's the one that has the best of all worlds. It has all the best stuff in it. I'm really, that's the one. That's the collector's.
I can't
this last
wait.
One though.
I was going to say, I can't wait to get back to Magic.
Oh, me too, man. Me too. I want to just jam on Magic with people. It's one of the beautiful things about, among many other things that have Summit, there's so many great things that are happening because there's just so many different magic minds working in different directions. We have all the events, but I'm a super geek just for jamming, for hanging out and just jamming on tricks and seeing other people do tricks and like just trading tricks. That's like the best part of conventions for me. I love that part.
I got real nostalgic last night because, like I said, early in the evening, it seemed like we hadn't watched the slideshow and listened to tunes for a while. Because usually we're ironing out details, and sometimes there's been a few times where we just went live. We didn't even have the little slide.
Oh, you're saying you had a minute before the show started to actually enjoy the slides.
We had like 15 minutes, and it was 15 minutes. It was just watching the slides, and we were jamming out, and I was like, man, I really miss
And you were
that.
getting nostalgic.
Yeah, I really miss
Nice.
that. You know, I miss hanging
Yeah.
out. Yeah.
You know, that's
Yes, Missy
totally. I'm
says
with you.
that David Regal's lecture in the back room is awesome, and it is. By the way, he was lecturer
There's
of
two
the year.
tricks. There's two tricks in that lecture that I lifted immediately and started doing. That lecture is awesome. If you are a CC member, go in the back room. Go watch the Regal lecture. You're not going to be sorry about it. There's so much good stuff in there. It's really, well, he's prolific, you know. This was just the stuff that he wanted to show at the time he came and hung out with us, right? It's awesome.
Yeah, that was just what was at the top of the pile that day.
I'll tell you this. Check out that Carlisle transposition that he has. That's my favorite.
That was killer.
I started doing it immediately. It kills. It's a great opener if you're doing walk around magic because it's quick, and such a fooler. They have no idea what just happened to them with them. That's a killer piece of magic.
Well, we got one more, buddy.
Yeah, this one's good too.
There and Back, is it called?
There and Back. That's the one. And this one's real simple. No cards, no coins. You'll see it's a very straightforward piece. The effect is very simple. But again, when it's over, well, we'll talk when it's over.
Whoa. Let me know when you're ready.
I'm ready.
Here we go. We're going to do it. There it is.
There
and Back.
Nice.
My uncle, who, believe it or not, was a jeweler in the Boston area. Maybe you've heard of him? My uncle?
No.
Well, when he passed on, he left me. He left me with some unusual things. His jeweler's mat, for one, but something far more precious. He was a man. He had a very special attitude. He knew how things like wedding bands were made. And if you think a wedding band is carved out of a chunk of gold by a caring artisan, I don't want to burst a bubble, but you couldn't be further from the truth. A wedding band, and trust me on this, is sliced out of pipe, one after another after another. I swear, it's gold pipe, but John, you could hook up your washer dryer to it, it would work nevertheless. Now, he was a magician, so he'd do little tricks with the ring. But that isn't what I loved about him. What I loved is even though he knew where these came from, he was probably the most romantic guy I ever met. And for this, I'd like to borrow a woman's wedding band. If there's a woman here with a wedding band. No, I see some. It's all right. If it doesn't come off, we can, have Louis get the hacksaw. I see you have a ring on your thumb.
She really loves her husband.
The thumb ring's a good one. Does that come off?
Hey.
Beautiful. Lovely. Thank you. I'll take very good care of this. Nothing untoward will happen to it. With a couple of paper napkins in your ring, let's try something interesting. Your ring goes here. I like John. John thinks I'm a thief. Not really a thief. You also need a goblet given to my uncle by my aunt the day they were married. Another goblet goes here. My uncle used to say one heart will always follow another. If what my uncle said is true, your ring should no longer be here. If what he said is true, your very unusual thumb ring should be right here. Is that your ring? I hope to hell it is. A round of applause for Jennifer, please. And for John. And to all of you, you were great. I'm David Regal. Thank you. Thank you very much. You were great.
Woo!
Very simple, very straightforward, but a real fooler, right?
You know what's brilliant about that is like he doesn't feel a need to go into like 6 phases. You know what I mean? He had a little thing where he vanished the
One
ring
effect.
back to his finger, but it was just that
Sure.
really the thing.
And I think you need that. You need that vanishing back on the finger. You need to make sure they're paying attention. Otherwise, that effect could be missed. They might not really appreciate what that is, right? Something at the beginning.
Such a great little
But
thing.
the effect itself is just so good. Showpiece. And you saw it. He closed the set with it. I think he closes like sets at, when he does close-up sets like in a home, he's doing that thing with the borrowed ring on the table, and beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.